because they want you to eat it because they know you have money. If you have money and you eat it and you get sick, they can give you pills and you can pay for it.
So when we're taking this energy in, we're taking in that grief, anxiety, slaughter into us. So we cannot do this at Vipassana, we can't do this at the temples, and I think education is key.
It's such a powerful message. It's like you cannot argue with that. It kind of stops you in your tracks. And the more people that see your film, I can't imagine anybody who's truly dedicated to their faith not having to seriously think about what they're eating.
After a little lunch at the ISKCON Food Relief Office, Sailesh and I hopped a flight to the coastal state of Goa, which until 1961 had been colonized by the Portuguese. Today, Goa still has a large population of Roman Catholics who live in harmony with their Hindu and Muslim neighbors.
Basically, her mother was milked, and her and the mother were left to wander on the streets. And because they were hungry, she walked into somebody's garden for some juicy bananas, and they attacked her in the head with an axe.
We took an Uber to the town of Shulam, where we visited Welfare for Animals in Goa, a shelter home for abused, injured, and malnourished cows and other animals. There, we spoke to its founder, Atul Sarin.
So we also have rescued turkeys from the Christmas market. Very kind tourists brought them in. They'd been hanging upside down for 2 days with no food, no water. And actually legally, this is all illegal to have them on the street in the hot sun. But very soon after rescuing them, we realized that they're actually individuals like us. They have characters, they have feelings. And by coincidence, this weekend, 500 million or more turkeys are going to be ruthlessly slaughtered just for one Thanksgiving meal. Apart from ethics, these turkeys are pumped with steroids, antibiotics, all sorts of horrible things, and they grow really fast, faster than they should do. And we're actually putting all that in our bodies. So I would urge people to have a delicious vegan roast instead of your turkey on Thanksgiving. It's good for everybody.
Today, we kill more animals in 4 to 12 hours than all the humans that ever died in wars throughout human history put together. And then we wonder, does this killing have something to do with the fact that the planet is dying? It couldn't be, right? Of course it is. It is the root cause. Animal agriculture and what we do to animals is the foundation of the system of normalized violence that's causing all of our environmental problems.
We reunited with Bharat at the sanctuary, and after a great lunch at the vegan restaurant Bean Me Up, he drove us back to the city of Punjab, where Dr. Rao spoke and we screened A Prayer for Compassion at the Institute of Menezes Braganza.
See, when we did Cowspiracy, I sent the movie to all the board members of Climate Reality Project because I was working there at that time and I wanted them to watch it, and because they don't speak a single word about animal agriculture in the Climate Reality Project. I sent it to every one of them, and I only got one reply from a board member. And his point was, we are letting fossil fuels off the hook in the movie, and he said the world will not go vegan until the human population is down to 1 billion. So I said, so are you telling me that you are not going to give up your meat until 7 billion people die? Is that what you're telling me? Then whose meat are you eating?
After the Q&A, we learned that during the screening, a young man let his mom know that he wanted to go vegan.
Halfway during the movie, I just saw my phone buzz, and it was a message from his WhatsApp to me saying that I want to go vegan. And that just brought actually a lot of happiness to me because my son is he's a die-hard non-vegetarian. And now that he's planning to go vegan, I'm really impressed, and I hope it changes our lifestyle and makes us healthy and fit.
So this is our old fish market.
Local. These were slaughtered today?
Yeah, these are all sort of
They in the market? They do it here?
yeah.
The next day, Bharat and I visited the local wet market to bear witness to all of the innocent, sentient beings who were being needlessly slaughtered.
You know, when I saw that big picture of Jesus, I was okay until I saw that, really, because I was in working mode. And I get in working mode, it's all about what you got inside the frame. You know, you focus on the frame and you think of the shot. You don't think about what you're looking at. When I saw Jesus, suddenly I felt the shame just wash over me. Shame that I'm in the middle of this bloodbath. And then there he is right there, looking out over all of these deaths. And in my heart, I believe Jesus had a sweet, compassionate heart. I don't know that he could take this without getting very angry or very sad. But I was not expecting to find Jesus in the meat market, and this has really overpowered me. And what's worse is that doing this, you know, we had to pretend that we were just interested in things and not it was affecting us. And so I had to take a moment and get rid of the tears before I walked back in. I didn't want anybody to see me crying because I didn't want to blow my cover. But I was very moved about what I saw, and especially when I saw Jesus here. It just breaks my heart.
You know what a vegan means? No? A vegan is someone who doesn't want to hurt animals unnecessarily. Who wants to hurt animals unnecessarily? Nobody. Then you're all vegans. Because that's the definition of veganism. It's that you don't want to hurt animals unnecessarily. So vegans tend to eat only plant-based foods. They only eat foods made from plants. They don't eat animals. They don't use animals for any purpose whatsoever. Because when we don't use animals for any purpose whatsoever, people stop raising animals. So they don't have to destroy forests for animals anymore. And so they'll stop killing animals. So if you don't buy, they won't kill. It's only when we buy, they kill.
We flew from Goa to the city of Pune to attend the Pune Health and Sustainability Conference. While we were there, Dr. Rao spoke at several schools and community centers.
So I have a granddaughter, right? My granddaughter, she was born in 2010. When she was 4 years old, she took me to see the movie Cinderella. And I sat there and I was dozing off, you know. I said, this is for little kids. It's not for adults, right? And then Cinderella said something and I immediately woke up. I said, wait a minute, this is for me. This is not for her, this is for me. Because Cinderella said something. She said, have courage, be kind, and all will be well. So if you're kind to all life, all will be well. The planet will heal. The animals will be fine. All you have to do is to be kind to everything, to all life. Can we not do that? We all know how to do that. We all know how to be kind. But it takes courage to be kind when everyone is killing animals around you. It takes courage to go and say, I want to be kind to animals. I don't want to eat any animal foods. I don't want to wear any animal clothes. I don't want to wear the skin of an animal. I don't want to turn their skin into my shoes and wear them. So when you go say that, you're trying to be kind to animals. And if everybody is kind to animals, all will be well. So that was the first thing that Cinderella said that woke me up. And then I said, I'm going to have to pay attention to this movie. Because maybe there are more lessons for me. Because this is exactly what I've been trying to tell people at Climate Healers. You have to be kind to all life and all will be well.
The second thing she said that I wrote down, I have 3 Cinderella principles. Okay, the second principle was, she said, just because it's what is done doesn't mean it's what should be done. She said that when the prince was about to shoot a deer, and she stopped him and said, and the prince said, we've always done this, we've always shot deer. And she said, just because it's what is done doesn't mean it's what should be done. So stop it. Just because we have been doing something doesn't mean we have to keep doing it, right? Whatever we've been doing so far has caused this huge problem. So should we continue doing it? No. It's easy to understand, right? So if you have to change what you're doing. If we change what we're doing, then things may change. Things will change around you. So just because it's what is done doesn't mean it's what should be done. That was the second principle. And the third principle she said, that I noted down, and I put it in my book actually, is imagine the world as it should be and work towards it instead of the world as it is. So imagine a world in which the water is clean and pure. Imagine a world in which the birds are thriving, the animals are thriving, the forest is blooming. And work towards it. Instead of the world as it is. The world as it is full of trash. Is that what you want to keep doing? We can change, right? So we can change. So that was in 2014. And that completely changed my outlook. I actually wrote a book called Carbon Yoga to talk about that. First, I wrote a book called Carbon Dharma. Carbon Dharma is what is the right thing to do. And that's very easy to figure out. The right thing to do is to be nice to all life. Be compassionate, right? So compassion was at the core of my message for climate healers from the beginning. I even say compassion for all life is infinitely sustainable.
In Pune, we had the pleasure of being joined by a Prayer for Compassion's executive producer, Jerome Flynn, an English actor who may be best known for playing Bronn in the popular series Game of Thrones.
There's another story, the white lions of South Africa would come back, return, and show themselves at a time of great crisis for the planet, where man has forgotten his responsibility to keep that balance. And sure enough, those white lions, they started coming back, being seen. Even though the African people, the indigenous African people, they knew they were there, but they suddenly came out and showed themselves around the 60s and 70s, which is when also the science started to be known. They started to predict these days. So the white lions come back, and they're like the royal family, because they call them the king of the jungle. And the white lions have this special energy. And I went to meet them, and what they do is they connect us. They're all about reconnecting us back to our relationship with Mother Nature and our lion heart. These white lions aren't just in South Africa. They can come to you, and they can come to you in your dreams and in your prayers to give you this courage and the compassion. You can call on the lions to come and to awaken your lion heart. And they're here for us, all of us, now helping us. Even though in their country now, a hunter will come and pay $100,000 to kill a white lion. $100,000. So still this part of man is just trying to, take nature and put a lion skin and a head up on the wall. So we still don't realize, and that's us trying to own nature. And it's that same impulse, because actually the real joy comes from owning our responsibility and saying yes to life. We all have these incredible lion hearts within us. So to be able to be kind and compassionate and be these warriors that Dr. Sailesh is calling for, we just have to sit quietly every day and connect to our lion hearts and dream of a future we long for, and it'll come. And we're the only ones that can do it. We're the ones we've been waiting for to make this world a beautiful, peaceful place. So I just wish you all the best in that, and say we're all together in this. And it's a wonderful opportunity. It's a wonderful mission for our life, to make this world the best of what we know in our hearts, what I think we're all longing for.
When we had first arrived, the principal had told us that he had thought of activists as thugs. Yet after Dr. Rao's talk, he was singing a different tune.
At any stage of time or life, one can be passionate and one can be active and be an activist on any subject in the correct way. And this is something that you may want to do and not just follow the path that everybody was taking since 1947 when India got independent. Now we have evolved, we have reached much higher, and we have new problems. We have a different set of problems than what India had 30, 40 years ago. And they have to be addressed differently with different thoughts. So he mentioned a statement that because we have been doing something, do we have to go on doing the same thing? Not true. When newspaper covers activists, they cover the ones which are very loud and maybe violent or maybe very dramatic. So over a period of time, the word activist has become a negative connotation.
How important is it to take a stand about something when you are privileged with a voice that can be heard?
Just first of all, I'd like to say it's really wonderful to be here in India. It's a very precious country to me and has been huge in changing my life and opening up my heart. So thank you. I just think it's important to act on your heart, whoever you are. And I was lucky enough to be brought up in the country with close connection to nature. I had the woods on my doorstep. I had a mother who would rescue animals, and foxes whose parents were gassed, or stoats or injured birds on the road. So I had this communion with nature early on, and then but I didn't know how the food on my plate was the process and what was happening to the animals, and I fell in love with a vegan at drama college, who, and I'd try and sit next to her at lunch, and she'd growl at me if I had a sausage. And I asked her why, and she started teaching me. So it's as clear as that. It's like, yes, anybody who's a public figure, it's great if they stand up for the crisis that we're in now, and help to be a part of turning this culture from a life-destructive one to leaning into life and saying yes, which is what becoming vegan is about, and being an activist. And there are some good ones out there. But also, it's very easy if you're a celebrity to be caught up in that trap, in the materialistic trap of thinking, of wanting more. That's because that's what our culture tells us. So, but more and more are coming on board, and we're all celebrities, we're all stars, and
For the animals.
exactly, yeah, and for the planet. Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Animal agriculture is the foundation of colonialism, is the foundation of racism and patriarchy. The Amazon is burning just to raise more animals for food. Well, there were people living in the Amazon. So we told them, your culture is inferior to our culture, so get out of the way. That's called colonialism. If you look at who works in the animal agriculture industry, it's always the least among us, because it's the worst jobs you can imagine. So racism is built into it. And the animal agriculture industry abuses the feminine of the animal. So it's patriarchy built in. And so we expect people to work in that industry who are abusing the feminine of the animal to come home and be nice to their wives. How is that possible? So you will see incidences of sexist behavior increasing among people in that category.
If anybody wanted to meet me and have a photo, because some people have wanted that, I just want to say we're doing it. There's a bit of bribery. There's a deal in there. At lunchtime, we're going to have a place, and in exchange for a photo, you're going to help to reforest the planet.
I have a gift. I call myself a vegangelist now.
Wow, I love that.
Yeah, because I have the gospel.
Yeah.
What is the gospel? The gospel is the good news.
Wow.
I have the gospel of spiritual alignment. The more you're able to align yourself with your true compassionate nature,
wow,
the better you're going to feel, the more energy you're going to have,
Yeah.
the more connected you're going to be to your source, to your creativity, to whatever spiritual path you're on. I've seen it over and over and over. So I guess my truth is that I have a gift, and I'm going to be Ganges.
Wow.
And we have to do it for our kids. We have
Yeah.
to do it for our kids.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
At the Pune Health and Sustainability Conference, I ran into my friend Dolly Vyas-Ahuja, the producer of the documentary The Land of Ahimsa, and we took turns interviewing one another.
I'm a granddaughter of a freedom fighter. His name was Chhaganlal Joshi. And he fought with Mahatma Gandhi at the Salt March. He was right there on his side. He's been to jail with him. So he was a huge supporter of Gandhi. He was against all these, fighting against social justice issues in those times. And we would come every summer to visit India. I was about 13. And he took me into his office. He's kind of strict. And he'd ask me a lot of questions. And he says, do you know what ahimsa means? And I was 13. I didn't know. I was like, no. And he kind of explained it. And I'm just not paying attention. His second question was, are you vegetarian? In those days. And I was scared. And I said, yes. And only now, Mr. Wade, do I understand what he was trying to tell me. And so I went back to that house, back in his room, touched his things. And yeah, I asked for his guidance now that helped me fight the greatest social justice issue talked about today, which is speciesism. So, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That ghee that we are using for the arati signifies that we are talking about enlightenment. Okay? So the arati represents we are in enlightenment. We are praying for enlightenment. Enlightenment means seeing reality as it is. Not as you are, as it is. And right now, when we use ghee for our arati, we are offering our God dioxins and all kinds of industrial toxins because it's filled with it. So when we see that, you say, why are we offering Lord Krishna dioxins? Is that what he wants? But there is a way we can do this. We can actually veganize our rituals and retain the symbolism. We do puja, especially in the south. My mother and I used to do, my mother used to do this every Friday. And I used to accompany her once in a while. So she would go to the Ganesha temple and she would offer a leaf, a flower, and a fruit. Because in the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, offer me a leaf, a flower, a fruit, and some water, and I'll accept it with love. We offer a leaf, a flower, and a fruit. The leaf represents our body. The flower, anything that smells good, represents our mind, thinking of God. And the fruit represents our soul. So we're offering our body, mind, and soul to God, and then we break a coconut. And the coconut represents our ego. So we break a coconut, and out spills the coconut water, which is the fluid mind that has doubts about God. What is left is the coconut fruit, which is the solid mind that has no more doubts about God. So when you take the coconut fruit and you clarify it, you get coconut oil, which is the clarified solid mind that has no more doubts about God, which is the enlightened mind. So you can use coconut oil for our arati and our havans, and you'll have this exact same symbolism. The good thing about this is that the coconut tree is one of the tallest trees, and the tree is sucking water from the roots and sucking it up all the way to the coconut, and every step of the way it's filtering the water. So by the time it gets to the coconut, it's as pure as it can be. This is why during Second World War, they were using coconut water as a substitute for plasma, because it's so pure. Now, coconut oil is one of the purest substances for lighting lamps. It is the most appropriate thing for us to be using for our rituals.
My friends who, if I can call them my friends now, these young activists of Pune, they asked me if I wanted to go to a vigil to visit a local dairy. And it's something they do. They will just go to these animals and give them love. And they're not protesting against the owners. In fact, they ask permission, and it's done with great respect. And this family let us come and visit them. And there were about 15 in the family. It was about 12 kids and 4 elders. And they're living with their animals. And I was expecting some kind of rural situation very naively. And there were a load of goats around the place. They were the lucky ones, if you like, because they were kind of free. But still they were on concrete. There's not a bit of grass to be had. But they weren't tied up. And then we were taken underneath the living space was a very small concrete shed with about 12 or 15 cattle in. And we went in and we were supposed to kind of give them love, but all I could sense was this desperation and this suffering and this incarceration. These animals who need to be grazing and wandering, and they're in this concrete, tied up with the rope so tight that they could hardly breathe. And there's this calf who couldn't stand up straight because the rope was keeping her down. And I was trying to hold her and give her love, and she just wanted mama. And she was desperately trying to get milk and feel her mum. She thought that maybe that I was bringing that. And her mother, I think, was 5 or 6 feet away, tied up, and they couldn't get to each other. And it didn't matter what I did. There was no, from all of them, the rest of them I could hardly get close to because they were just in stress. They can't even lie down. They can't go to sleep on the floor. They're worried that they'll get into their troughs. So I've been reflecting on that, and it broke me open. And it's so important because we become so desensitized from not only what we're doing to our animals, but what we're doing to our Mother Earth. This place, we went for a vigil yesterday. The oldest son of the family was showing us around the animals. And he was watching very closely what we were doing, and we were all quite moved. And he followed us out, and it's like he stayed close to us. And I just put my arm around him. I said, "How are you doing?" He said, "I'm not happy about this. I'm not happy about this situation. It's not all right. This is him, this is his family's dairy." And we said, the local, my Pune friends, the activists, they said, "Do you want to join us?" And he said, "Yes, I want to join you." He said, "I want to talk to my parents. And it may not change straight away," he said, "but I want to talk to my parents." And he had all these younger children around him. And he said, "We're going to love these animals, but we're going to try and change this."
When I came to India the first time, I met so many amazing people, so many kind people. I really walked away from India feeling like India is ready to go as far as veganism, because it felt to me like the Indian people had a ahimsa sewn in their DNA, and I just felt like if there was any country ready to become vegan, it would be India. But what I realized at the time is at the beginning of 2017, the more I talked to people, I realized there wasn't that many alternatives at the time. And there wasn't a lot of awareness about what happened in the dairy industry. I didn't know myself, but as I interviewed people, I discovered that the mother cow is suffering more in India in some ways than she is in the United States. She's being left out to eat plastic, get hit by cars. And, so my heart really opened up to the state of the cows in India, and it just seemed like such a contradiction. So I made the film, and we just came back, and as we toured around screening the film, and Dr. Sailesh Rao has been giving his talks, this time in India, I've seen there are alternatives. And not only that, I'm meeting so many vegan activists. Every town we go to, every city and town we go to, there are always vegan activists there who are passionate about it, who are really spreading the word. And not only that, we would go to schools and we would see the kids really get the message. And the principals and the administrators, when they heard the talks, they were open. They were totally open to changing on the spot. I saw so many people immediately shift when they learned the truth. So I've come away really heartened by the fact that I feel India is about to go. It just takes a little more awareness, and it's going to be one of the first countries to be a vegan country.
After we said goodbye to our Pune host, Bharat drove us to Mumbai, where we had lunch at the Rare Earth Cafe, India's first all-vegan store.
So this was my real estate office, and 3 years ago I dedicated one I made a rack where I kept a few of the vegan products. And then suddenly a few people started coming, and like that, little by little, many other people started coming in, asking for different things. And before I knew it, I kept ordering, getting stuff, and slowly, the entire real estate office turned into a vegan store. And I got totally pushed out of my earlier business. And now this slowly has, which started as a hobby or providing vegan stuff to people, has suddenly become like a business for me.
After saying goodbye to Jerome, Sailesh had one more informal talk. Then we caught a ride to the airport and said our last goodbyes.
It's not goodbye. It's not goodbye. He said, we'll see you a little later. We'll see you soon. It's not goodbye.
Before leaving Mother India for the long journey home.
Did you miss me?
Did you miss me?
Yes.